Patient partners in health research projects are a key element of patient-oriented research, but it's important that the role they play is not only meaningful, but that everybody involved agrees on what exactly that role is. Can we develop a vision of patient partnership in health research that is shared by all? This is episode 6 of Pep Talks, the Patient Engagement Podcast. In this episode, I talked to Lisa Ridgway, a patient partner with the BC Strategy for Patient-Oriented Research, SPORE, support unit. I first asked her to tell me a little bit about herself.
Hey, well, Paul, it's really a privilege and an honor to be here today. A lot of people have heard my story, but I'll make it short. Yes, I have a law degree, and I did practice law for many years. But before that, I spent time in Canada's north. I worked and lived with the Inuit in northern Quebec. I worked in a big game hunting camp in the Yukon. So I am Canadian through and through. My brother, my only brother, got ill. And I did a couple of bone marrow transplants with him. Thank God we were a match. But unfortunately, he passed away, and I became depressed, and I spent some time in a psychiatric day hospital. Did a whole bunch of weird and therapeutic things like RTMS, which is like a distant cousin to ECT. But I got connected through my illness to some champions for patient engagement and patient-oriented research. So they're the ones that have solidified my stake in patient-oriented research, particularly. Mental illness is something I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life, but I'm well. And so now I'm a patient partner. I'm on 4 different research projects, all to do with mental health at UBC and UVic. Because I'm here in Victoria, BC. I'm the co-chair of the BC Support Unit Provincial Patient Council. I work directly with CIHR, a number of their institutes, and just recently I've become a peer reviewer for this latest round of COVID-19 papers.
Fun.
Yeah, so locally, provincially, and starting to be nationally involved in patient engagement.
Can you remember at all, like some of the first projects like that you were drawn to, and what made you think this role was interesting?
Wow. Well, it's a curiosity to learn more about mental illness, both as a patient and from the doctor's point of view, because one of my champions was my psychiatrist, who's the former president of the Canadian Psychiatrists Association, so a very well respected man, Dr. Song. And he got me involved with a guy who holds a CRC research chair at the University of Victoria in translational neuroscience, testing the biomarkers for depression. And I thought, oh my gosh, if someone could have tested my blood and told me what mental health medications would have helped me, wouldn't that be a wild and wonderful world? Yeah. So I became interested through, my psychiatrist, and then Dr. Hector Caruncho at the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Victoria. So that was the starting point, and that was only a couple of years ago, and since then, many other projects.
Yes, so as you said, you've been involved as a patient partner in lots of different ways. So how would you see, from your perspective then, the role of patient engagement in health research?
Wow. That's a good question. It's very open-ended. I appreciate that. Like, it's to me, patient-oriented research is the way of the future, particularly under the SPORE strategy that you just had one of your podcasts about, because it's a really strong vision to be grown and nurtured. And I guess what I'm talking about is patient-partner engagement. In some cases, people talk about patient partners as if they're something to be managed or administered, but it's really engagement. It's relational, and that's one of my patient partners' own words, Beverly Pomeroy.
Mm.
So what do I see patient engagement in health research? Like, how about, like, envision this, how about a patient partner embedded in an organization, like on a rotating basis, like a scholar in residence or something. Jim Mann, who's a champion here in British Columbia and nationally of dementia treatment and care, did that at UBC. Like, why not have patient engagement ambassadors that are embedded in the support units, again on a rotating basis, because research teams that interact and support patient partners um, um, need to realize that patient partners aren't made of deep resources of goodwill. Reimbursement and compensation matter, but a kind word matters. And I think patient partner engagement, people come to it not to be in some kind of pity party.
Mm-hmm.
The best ones I know, they really give back, like Sandra Zielinski, one of your co-hosts, and support units and patient engagement should always be asking itself, how can we nurture and how can we honor this person's commitment? Yeah. So that's how I see patient engagement.
Yes. Did you use the term there, a patient partner? Was it management? Did you say? Like,
Yeah.
what's the, like, if you had to draw a contrast between, like, maybe engagement as like a good a good version, I guess, and management maybe as the less good version, like, what would the difference look like?
Well, I think it would be in thanking people and making sure that everyone feels like a valued part of the team, as opposed to just administering people and making sure they're in a meeting and ticking off the tokenistic box of here's my patient partner, or here's my patient advisory committee, or here's my patient-oriented research committee member. Like, really engage with people, as opposed to just being tokenistic and ticking off the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So do you think there's a way then that all of the different perspectives, I was almost going to use the word stakeholders, but
Yeah.
I never like the word. It's too boring. But do you think there's a way to have the different perspectives reach some sort of shared vision for, like, meaningful patient partner engagement?
That's a great question again. And the stakeholder always reminds me of someone holding a stake over Dracula or something. Like,
I always think that too, honestly.
Yeah. That's that we have a common vision then. Well, I think that the shared vision for patient partner engagement is that everybody has buy-in and everybody has responsibility. So one of my patient partners here in BC said, Lisa, just keep on showing up. So that's what I do. Like, I just keep on showing up. And when I do show up at a meeting, I claim the space, because not every patient is a patient partner, and not every patient partner really wants to get involved in research. And not every patient partner really involved in research really wants to go for it like some of us can, because we hold, we have a solid roof over our heads or whatever. So I think, those of us that can, we have to speak up, because there are plenty of patient partners that can't. And every patient partner has, external skills, like skills that they're bringing to the table regardless of their medical condition. So, we're not just our disease, we're lawyers, we're bakers, we're candlestick makers. I mean, I don't know, does anybody actually make candlesticks anymore?
Yeah, I wonder. A machine probably does by now.
Probably, but it's those external skills that shape how we face our condition. And I think a shared vision is acknowledgement and gratitude, and reaching out and checking in. And I watched a webinar this morning with Carolyn Shimon in it, and she's from one of the support units in Canada, and I learned that it's just as important to check out at the end of the meeting as it is to check in. So that's my vision of patient partner engagement. Everybody buys in, everybody takes responsibility.
Yeah, so we haven't released that episode yet, but we'll be talking to Carolyn at some point.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've got a lot to learn from her for sure.
Yes, so we're recording this episode in the. I was going to say middle. I hope it's the middle, towards the end of a pandemic.
Yes.
So I mean, this is obviously what everybody's thinking about right now. So, do you have
Yeah.
any thoughts about how this world of patient engagement can
Oh.
respond to some of this, the many challenges presented by COVID?
Yes, well, I'm developing my ideas as we speak. I'm going to give myself a plug. I'm going to be
Sure.
on the virtual national Casper conference on May 28th. So my ideas will be much more developed then.
Sure, yeah.
But I'll tell you, like here in my local health authority, the Vancouver Island Health Authority, I was listening to one of the town halls with some of the like top people from our health authority talking about patient experience, and they said that they were, consulting with patient partners. And the one thing that being a lawyer has taught me is to call out on people that don't actually say what they mean. And so I sent the patient experience department here at Island Health a very grouchy email. And now, like 2 weeks later from that email, I'm engaged with a number of other activated patient partners within my own health authority, meeting and discussing like recovery strategies. And on Friday, we're going to be asked to weigh in as patient partners on visitor policies. So, I went from seriously calling out someone that said they were engaging patient partners to being right in the thick of it. So that's what patient engagement does. It moves with the times. And no one lives the patient experience piece. No, you don't do that alone. You can't separate the patient experience from the entire healthcare experience. And that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about at the Casper meeting on May 28th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are people able to sign up to view this?
Yes, there are some tweets out there, and if you go on to the CAHSPR, that's Casper website, and look under events, it's called Virtually Casper. So there's an organization that's pivoted quickly. They were going to do an in-person event, and now they're going to do it virtually. So yeah, come on, the more patient partners we can get out to that, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to always do on the podcast is ask people for advice. So if you could give some advice to researchers. So we often get questions, even at the Alberta Sport platforms, from researchers who are thinking about venturing into the world of patient engagement for the first time. So what to researchers, what advice would you give them?
Wow. Well, I would say to any researcher, get in touch with your support unit, like the Alberta support unit, the Manitoba support unit, the Ontario, the BC, the Newfoundland, the Maritimes. Talk to people there, because the thing that was hardest for me to understand for a while when I reached out to the BC support unit, or actually they reached out to me, was they really want to help. They really do. Like, that's their job. They want to help you become engaged in research, regardless of whether you're a researcher, an academic, a healthcare decision maker, a healthcare policy maker. They really want to help. So I would say, reach out to people. Like here on Vancouver Island at the BC Support Unit Regional Center, there's a woman by the name of Taylor Hainstock, and she just models patient engagement. With every breath she takes, she meets you where she are. She realizes the value of the human connection. Make friends with people like this, and they will open up that world. So, come on in.
Excellent. Yeah. What about sort of then from, like, I don't know if it's the flip side or just another perspective, if there was someone listening to this podcast who's sort of never been involved as a patient partner on a health research project, what advice would you like to give to them?
Okay, well, it's sort of the same advice, but a little bit different. I would say find a champion
Mm.
like an internal champion or an external champion, a fellow patient partner, um, somebody embedded in the health system, like at a university, and and work with them, work with that person, and get connected, of course, with the BC Support Unit or the Alberta Support Unit. You guys are really good. You guys in Alberta are really good at
Well, thank
patient
you.
engagement. Um, you look to local resources, like here in BC, we have the REACH project and PVN, and PVN, Patient Voices Network, sends out patient engagement invitations, and REACH is this cool new project that matches patient partners to existing research teams. So, if you find the like-minded people, I have a little group of friends. We're friends now, certainly. I have a little group called the C2C group, and we meet every Monday. And they're just 4 people that I adore across Canada, because they're walking in the same direction I am with the patient engagement journey. And I listen to them. And then, as a patient partner, what you can really do is you can you can claim the space once you get into a research team, and that's where you plant the flag of lived experience, and you take small steps. That's what I do.
Awesome. Anything else that you want to chat about before we wrap up?
Well, yeah, I would just say bring a sense of wonder to what you're doing, and it's all about connections. One of my patient partners on the provincial council, who's a professional engineer, he estimated that there are thousands of connections that the patient council members, who are all engaged patient partners across British Columbia, there are thousands of connections that we have. And I'm truly thankful for all of those connections. This is all about people. And I've learned to say thank you all the time. Not that I'm ungrateful, but people make efforts. You thank them, and especially patient partners.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. It's been really enjoyable, and I look forward to hearing all the rest of your series. Thank you again.
Thanks. Thanks so much for joining us for episode 6 of Pep Talks, the Patient Engagement Podcast, brought to you by the Alberta Strategy for Patient-Oriented Research Patient Engagement Platform. Special thanks to Sandra Zielinski for coordinating guest appearances. I'm Paul Ferry. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you found it, and we hope you'll join us again for more interesting discussions about patient engagement in health research and health care.